There are different types of education, and each one is important. There are different reasons for each one. If you lack education in one area, it may affect your productivity or livelihood in other areas. We are meant to be educated or to have this all-round education. That is what makes us to be effective. That is what makes us to be qualified or equipped to live a well-balanced life of good productivity. We have been looking at the first type of educational system divinely designed by God, and that's home training. It has a place, and this is one of the reasons why those of us that are sharp spiritually, we are concerned about the general thing that the enemy or the devil is doing these days. Thwarting, twisting, and destroying the fabrics of homes by institutionalizing some of this adulterated style of home settings. Home settings that you can't call a home. Because how do you describe two women living together as husband and wife? And she will say, Angelina is my husband. Isn't that comical? And children will be brought up under that environment. And a small child that is growing up will look at this one and say, which one is the father, which one is the mother? A confused state and situation. This is what the world is tending to. And this is one of the reasons why the devil is planning for the end time. Because all those purposes for which God established home training, whereby character will be built up, whereby children will see parents to learn how to live in the society and the community, whereby children will walk under the blessings of God, they are now being defeated by this artificial, monstrous design of the devil. We have challenges ahead of us. Today, we are looking at another type of education. They are all important in making us a complete person. They are all important in making us a complete Christian. They are all important in making us a complete people in the world where we find ourselves. And that is why we are looking at academic education. We have looked at home education, which is the first set of education. I'm talking about where the teachers are our guardians or our parents. We are the students, where their method of teaching is primarily by examples, where we grow up to see our parents display wisdom, live out well. They are the first set of training that we have, the first set of understanding that we have, the first set of upbringing that we have to mold us, our character, to impart unto us God's gift of living well and living long, to get transferred to us God's blessing that He has instituted in the families. All these are the essence of home training, home schooling, home education. But there is another type of education, and that is academic education. Why do we go to school? I read agricultural economics in the premier university in Nigeria, the University of Ibadan. And one thing shocked me. And it is the fact that a whole lot of us, especially when we are graduating, we really didn't know what life is all about. I dare say we didn't know how to make money. We didn't know how to be rich. And we read economics. Then I shook my head and I pitied those that read archaeology and anthropology. If we that we read economics barely know how to find our way in life, how much more my friends that read biology or botanical garden or botany or something, how will they survive? Why? Because we find out that the essence of academic education, you and me need to understand it very well. Lest you miss the big picture. Because if you lack the understanding, you will be shocked. One, you will miss it, you won't live a happy life. You won't achieve purpose if you don't understand the purpose of academic education. Let's look around. Number one, it doesn't look like it's a school education, academic education is meant to teach someone to be rich. It doesn't look like. Pastor, why? Because I know a lot of people that went to school. I went to school also. Were you rich? No, I wasn't rich. I wasn't rich. There are a lot of people that went to school. There are a lot of people with certificates, first degree, second degree, some with PhD, and yet they are not rich. That simply tells me that you don't learn how to be rich in school. Then what is the purpose? One of the reasons why I know that they don't teach one to be rich in school is because majority of the teachers are poor. That's why. Hardly will you complete a circle of 4-year course, 5-year course without having experience of lecturers going on strike because the government failed to pay salaries or meet one financial obligation or whatever. Why? Now, if you are very comfortable, you won't be going on strike every now and then. So it doesn't look as if the lecturers are that rich. So how will they be able to teach us to be rich? You can't teach what you don't have. Peter and John in Acts chapter 3, they look at the man by the gate and they said that what we have we give unto you. It's only what you have that you can give unto another. You can't give what you don't have. So if you're not rich, you can't make someone else rich. You can't give money if you're poor, if you don't have. So most of the lecturers can't teach how to be rich because they themselves are poor. They are poor. And you cannot give what you don't have. Then school can't then be designed to be rich or to teach us how to be rich or to make money. When I graduated in school, I was thinking then that if they should give each one of us something like maybe $1 million, and they ask us and say that, okay, use this money and in 6 months' time, make sure that you make a profit of at least $200,000 or naira or dollars on top of it. You know, we all embrace it and jump up and go after it. But if they had a clause that if you fail to make the stated profit, you go to jail for 6 months. Every one of us will drop it like cancer. Why? Because we're not bold, we're not secured. Despite the fact that we graduated, I had upper division, so I was not dull. I still didn't know how to make money. Very interestingly, none of the lecturers actually asked us whether we've been to the bank because coincidentally, I only entered the bank once before I finished the university, only once. So, and I read economics. How will I know how to make money? Then, if they don't teach one how to make money, and we have found out that primarily academic education is not where to go and learn morality, it is from home. We should learn that. I've seen a whole lot of people make sentences together. They blame the lecturers for not teaching morality. That's not their job. That's part of the job we have at home. We should have home training where we are taught on how to live, how to relate in the society, character. That is part of home curriculum. Then what is the essence of school? Schools are useless. No, they are not useless. And that is why I'm teaching us to have the understanding of what the purpose of school really is for. Why do we go to school? I will explain it like this. Listen. Let's take an example of a boxer. Someone that fights as a professional. Many of them at the professional level, they have a personal gym in their house. They do press up, they can run, they do a lot of exercises that is not boxing. Let me give an example. You see a boxer that is planning to fight for a particular belt, and he may decide that early in the morning, 5 a.m. to 7 a.m., he will be taking a tour of running around the field, football pitch, maybe 20 times between 5 a.m. to 7 a.m. every day. Now, he's a boxer, he's planning to fight, but he's running around the field. What connection does running around the field has to do with boxing? That's exactly what I want you to learn. There is the purpose of developing your muscle, getting toughened or strengthened against the day of the fight. That is, though running around the field is not the same thing as fighting, but it is meant to develop the muscle that will be used to fight. Something like that is what the purpose of the school is. The school is there to help develop your mind so that you can think and reason. It is like this. First degree is the preparation that you have in order to get you to the point that you can now think. In fact, I see university first degree as a certificate that shows you can now think. It is like running around the field in preparing for boxing. Running around the field is not boxing, but it is what develops your muscle for boxing. Going to school is to nurture, to grow, to develop your mind so that you can now think. This is one of the reasons why going to school, they may not teach you how to make money. But when you understand that it is a system that develops your muscle so that you can now use that your muscle in making money. We can put it like this. Academic education is the system whereby your mind is developed, and when you graduate, it simply means that you have now gotten to a point in your mental development that you can now start thinking. This is why, if you are watching this or listening to me, you should never come up and say, I won't make it because of the course I read. No. No matter the course that you read, they all serve the same purpose. They help you to now know how to think. This is one of the reasons that if you understand the purpose of academic education, your life will be a lot better. I don't care whether you read lab technology or economics or Yoruba or French, or you are an engineering student, medical student, law student. Sincerely, it's immaterial. They are license to tell you that you can now think, you can now reason. In that Acts of the Apostles chapter 7 of the book of Acts of the Apostles, verse 22, the Bible talked about Moses that was learned in all the wisdom of the Egyptians and was mighty in words and deeds. Now, when the Bible says that he was mighty in words and deeds, it wasn't talking about being eloquent. Remember, he was a stammerer. But there was something that being learned in all the wisdom of Egyptians did to Moses, to the extent that a stammerer was described as being mighty in words. That means that his sense of judgment, he acquired sense of judgment and boldness to judge, to make decision, to take action. That's what education does. Because he was learned, his mind became matured. He could make decision. He could make sane decision. That's what you learn in school. So academic education is actually primarily designed to have our mind matured for the essence of making decisions. Academic education. This is why you don't have to crucify yourself, especially in some circle where you were not opportune to study the subject that probably will bring the best out of you. There are many students that are studying the university now that the reason why you're studying what you are studying is because of the condition. It's the condition that make your crayfish to bend. But what do? Understand the purpose of academic education. It's just to mature your mind. That is why it's usually after you leave school that you will really sit down and cut out direction for your life. I was teaching some young students, some weeks ago, and I asked them questions. There were some of them that just entered the institution, Polytechnic. And some of them already had suitors, someone that they'll marry. And I asked, sincerely, you still have about 9 years before you think of marriage. Does this make sense? No, just sit down and think. No, what academic education is meant to serve is to mature your mind to be able to think in making right judgment and decisions in life. That is the purpose of school. This is what it produced for Moses. Remember one day when Moses was going out, he saw one of the Egyptians and one of the Israelites talking, and he took it upon himself to take up the challenge. He took it upon himself to approach the situation. He could make decision. He could no longer take nonsense. That's what education is meant for. To be able to use your brain. Like I always tell believers that they shouldn't forget that when the Lord washed our sins, He didn't wash our brain. Because He knows that we need it. We have to use it. So as you grow, as you go to school, understand the purpose of school. This is one of the reasons why they don't teach how to make money in school. No. You may read and read and read and have certificates upon certificates. You will still need to teach yourself after. So this is the approach you should have. Know why you are going to school. Know the purpose of academic education is to get your brain matured so that you can think. The same way a man that needs to fight will run around the football pitch. No, he wasn't preparing for running, he was preparing for fighting. But that running will develop the muscle that he will use in the fighting. It's the same principle. When you go to school, school won't teach you how to live life. School will only teach you or prepare you for living life. School will only prepare you for living life. No, school will not be the substitute It will only get you prepared. You are to live. So after you finish in school, simply just tell yourself, I think I can think now. I think I can think now. Then start thinking. Don't make decisions without having solid thinking, or else you are abusing your academic education. You are abusing it because you've gone to school to prepare you to be able to think and reason in life. The major difference between an illiterate and an educated person is that this educated person is able to employ part of the brain that the illiterate won't be able to touch in processing decision, in making judgments, because life is all about making decisions. So when you go to school, you understand the purpose of academic education. We said that home education is to instill into us character. Home education is to instill into us our culture. Home education is to cause the blessing that God put in the family to pass from one generation to the other. Those are the purposes of home education. But for academic education, it is meant to mature our mind so that our mind can now reason, so that we can reason with our mind and make sound judgment about life. By the grace of God, I'll continue in the next teaching concerning education. We are looking at the all-round education, home education, academic education, personal education, and church or spiritual education. It is someone that is well educated in all these four realms of education that we will say has a complete education. I'm Reverend Badi Ogunlana. Have a lovely time.